The RSPCA says animal welfare should be considered by councillors deciding if an 8,000 cow dairy farm in Lincolnshire should go ahead. The planning application for the dairy has been submitted and the council's made it clear that its decision will be based on planning issues, from traffic to the impact on local residents. Welfare is not considered a planning issue. But John Avizienius from the RSPCA told me it should be taken into account. I asked him whether he had any particular concerns about this proposal.
There are obviously going to be concerns about any kind of farming enterprise, but we have to emphasise that big is not necessarily bad, provided you supply everything to meet the needs of the animals. But in this case, I think we need to cut through all of the emotive rhetoric and adopt a measured approach and look at the facts. What we need to consider is, yes, you probably can feed the animals better by keeping them in, and recent research has shown that this is probably the case. Yes, you can supply a comfortable lying area by bedding them on sand, but by keeping them in, you are not letting them express what is obviously a very strong natural behaviour, that is the desire to graze. And on this basis, and using the precautionary principle, the RSPCA standards prohibit these systems because we just do not know enough about them. And some of the overinflated statements which are being made, like, yes, we get, the welfare will be absolutely fantastic, or from the other side of the coin, the welfare will be absolutely terrible. We just cannot say these kind of things at this time because we do not know enough about them.
But when you talk to people who farm in a similar way in the United States, they say that actually if you give a cow a choice, it probably will stay in, because if it stays in, it's got fresh water and it's got food on tap. Whereas if it goes outside, it may be hot, it may be cold, the grass may be not that great. So they will say that the animal, given the choice, many animals will choose to stay inside.
That's probably the case. Given the choice, that's the important part here. But I would just have to say this, we can look at the USA, but it is not an animal welfare model that I am naturally drawn to. Also, preliminary research results suggest that there is a partial preference from cows who want to go out, i.e. in any population of cows, possibly up to 33% or a third will choose to go outside if given the choice. And there seems to be some confusion here. I hear some reports that some of the cows will be allowed out and some reports to say that they won't be allowed out. So there's an element of confusion here.
By the RSPCA's own statistics, though, 1 in every 4 dairy cows suffers lameness. So if we get these cows on this massive farm where there will be a vet on tap, surely they will be better off in some ways at least.
I'm not sure really, because if you are milking them 3 times a day, you could argue that they would be standing up for longer, so that doesn't necessarily follow. And what we don't want to see is a system like this actually exacerbating existing problems within the dairy cow. But I think we need to just be very, very careful about making any claims because we've got a vet on site. A vet covering 8,000 cows is quite a tall order on a daily basis.
All this talk of welfare is at this stage slightly irrelevant, isn't it? Because actually planning permission won't take it into account.
If the planning authority would like to write to the RSPCA and ask us about some of these issues, we willingly respond to them.
But when you're looking at a planning application, welfare of the animal doesn't come into it. So why should they seek your opinion?
The RSPCA has been contacted on a number of occasions by planning authorities covering a number of issues with a number of species. So I think you have to consider welfare because it's very important.
John Avizienius from the RSPCA.